Good evening, my dear friend. As the final hours of this day settle around us like a gentle blanket, I want you to know that you are not alone in this quiet moment. The soft glow of lamplight creates a sacred space around you, and somewhere in the distance, the world is winding down into peaceful silence. Tonight feels different, doesn't it? There is something holy about this hour, when day surrenders to night, when our busy minds finally have permission to slow down and breathe. In Psalm 4, verse 8, David reminds us, "In peace I will lie down and sleep for you alone. Lord, make me dwell in safety." This is not just a beautiful verse, it is a promise. Tonight is not an ending, my friend. It is a beginning of something sacred. While you rest, God is working. While you sleep, He is healing. While you surrender your worries, He is orchestrating tomorrow's blessings. Before we begin this prayer together, I would love to know where you are joining me from tonight. Please share your location in the comments below. If this prayer brings comfort to your weary soul, would you honor me by hitting that like button and subscribing to this channel? And now, let us step together into God's presence and discover the deep, refreshing rest that He has prepared for you tonight. But I know this day has been long for you. Hasn't it? I can almost see you there, carrying the weight of everything that happened from sunrise until this moment. Let me walk through this day with you, because I understand what it feels like to start each morning with such hope and determination, only to find that life had different plans. You probably woke up this morning with a mental list of everything you wanted to accomplish. Maybe you set your alarm 15 minutes earlier, thinking you could get ahead of the day. You had that cup of coffee, looked at your schedule, and felt ready to tackle whatever came your way. There was optimism in your heart. Wasn't there? A sense that today would be the day when everything would finally fall into place. But then the day began to unfold, and it wasn't quite what you expected. That meeting at work didn't go as smoothly as you had hoped. Your boss seemed stressed, and somehow that stress found its way to you. Your inbox filled up faster than you could respond, and your phone kept ringing with calls you didn't have time to take properly. Every time you tried to focus on one task, 3 more urgent matters demanded your attention. At lunch, you barely had time to eat. You found yourself wolfing down a sandwich while answering emails, feeling like you were always one step behind where you needed to be. The afternoon brought its own challenges. Maybe it was a difficult conversation with a colleague or a client who wasn't satisfied, or simply the realization that half the items on your to-do list would have to wait until tomorrow. Then you came home, and home had its own set of needs waiting for you. Your spouse looked tired, really tired, and you could see in their eyes the same exhaustion you felt in your bones. Your children needed attention, help with homework, someone to listen to their stories about their day. The bills sat on the kitchen counter, looking more intimidating than they did this morning. The laundry basket seemed fuller somehow. I tried my best today, but it felt like swimming upstream, you might be thinking. No matter how hard I worked, how much effort I put in it, never felt like enough. There wasn't enough time, wasn't enough money, wasn't enough energy, wasn't enough patience to go around. You gave everything you had, and still, at the end of the day, you're sitting here feeling like you somehow came up short. The questions started creeping in as evening approached. Why does it feel so hard? When will things get easier? Why do I feel like I'm constantly running, but never quite catching up? Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, why do His provision feel so far away tonight? These are honest questions, my friend. David asked them too. Jesus understands them. And it's okay to bring them into this quiet space tonight, because acknowledging where we truly are is the first step toward finding where God wants to meet us. And now, as darkness falls outside your window, that feeling of being alone with all of this becomes even more intense. Doesn't it? There is something about nighttime that makes our problems feel bigger, our resources feel smaller, and our hearts feel more vulnerable. During the day, we can stay busy enough to keep the deeper worries at bay. But when the sun goes down and the house grows quiet, that's when the real weight of everything settles in. I imagine you might be sitting there in the soft darkness, maybe on the edge of your bed, or in that chair where you always end up, when you need to think. The silence around you isn't empty. It's full of all the things you couldn't fix today, all the conversations you wish had gone differently, all the decisions you're still not sure about. Your mind keeps cycling through the same worries, the same what-ifs, the same if-onlys. Let me tell you about a moment I had recently. I was sitting in my bedroom, the bills spread out on the nightstand like unwanted guests. The numbers on the paper seemed to grow larger in the lamplight, and I felt so small in that moment. Not just physically small, but small in my ability to handle what life was asking of me. I felt so small tonight. Lord, I remember whispering, like my problems were giants, and I was just a man with a slingshot not even sure where to aim. During the day, we put on our brave faces, don't we? We smile at our coworkers. We tell people we're fine. When they ask, we handle our responsibilities with as much grace as we can muster. But when night comes, when the performance is over, we finally get honest about how heavy everything really feels. The pretending stops, and the truth emerges. We are tired. We are worried. We are not as strong as we want everyone to believe. You can hear it in the sounds around you right now. The tick of the clock on the wall marking time that feels like it's moving too fast and too slow all at once. The hum of the air conditioner working to keep you comfortable while your mind refuses to find comfort. Maybe there's someone sleeping next to you, their peaceful breathing a reminder that rest is possible, even though it feels so far away from where you are right now. My hands felt empty tonight, you might be thinking. Empty of solutions, empty of control, empty of the power to fix what needs fixing. My heart felt heavy with the accumulated weight of caring about so many things I cannot change. My mind felt scattered, jumping from one worry to another, like a butterfly that cannot find a safe place to land. Even when we are surrounded by people who love us, there are moments in the darkness when we feel profoundly alone with our struggles. It's not that we don't appreciate the support we have, it's that some burdens feel too personal, too complex, too overwhelming to fully share with anyone else. We don't want to worry the people we love with the full weight of what we carry. But here's what I've learned about these moments of feeling small and alone. They're not accidents. They're not signs that we're failing or that God has forgotten us. They're invitations. When we reach the end of our own strength, when our hands feel truly empty, that's when we discover there are other hands ready to hold what we cannot carry. Jehovah Shalom. The Lord of Peace is present in this very feeling of overwhelm, waiting for us to recognize that our emptiness can become the space where His fullness dwells. But tonight, I'm making a different choice, and I invite you to make it with me. Instead of lying here awake wrestling with things that are bigger than my ability to solve, I'm choosing to stop carrying what was never meant for my shoulders. I'm choosing to remember that there is a difference between being responsible and being in control, between caring and carrying. Picture this with me. Imagine that you are standing in front of a beautiful ornate chest, the kind with intricate carvings and golden handles. This chest belongs to the Creator of the universe, the one who holds tomorrow in His hands. He has been waiting patiently all for you to come to Him with the things that are too heavy for you to bear alone. One by one, I want you to take each burden from your heart and place it carefully into His care. Let's start with the financial pressure that has been sitting like a stone in your stomach. Lord, I place this bill, this concern about next month's rent, this worry about whether there will be enough into your hands. You are Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, and you have never failed to care for your children. I cannot see how you will make a way, but I choose to trust that you will. Now take that relationship that has been causing you pain, that conversation that went wrong, that hurt, that you have been carrying around like an unwelcome companion. Jehovah Rapha, the God who heals. I give you this broken connection. I cannot fix what has been damaged. I cannot force understanding where there is confusion. But you can heal what seems beyond repair. I place this relationship into your capable hands. What about your health? Those concerns that keep you awake at night. That pain in your body. That the doctors are still trying to understand those test results you're waiting for. That fear of what might be growing inside you that you cannot see or control. Lord, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. You know every cell, every heartbeat, every breath. I place this body, this temple that houses my soul, into your healing hands. And your children, Lord, those precious souls you have entrusted to your care. Their dreams that you cannot guarantee, their struggles that you cannot solve for them. Their paths that they must walk even when you desperately want to clear every obstacle from their way. I give you their futures, their choices, their journeys. Guide them where I cannot follow. Protect them where I cannot shield them. Love them even more perfectly than I do. Here's what happens when we truly surrender, my friend. It's like being a farmer at the end of a long day in the fields. The farmer doesn't stay awake all night trying to make the seeds grow faster or worrying whether the rain will come at the right time. He places his tools in the barn, trusts the soil to do its work, and rests in the knowledge that growth happens in the darkness, in the quiet, in the hours when human effort stops and divine mystery takes over. As I place each burden into God's hands, I notice something shifting in my chest. The weight that has been pressing down on my ribs all day begins to lift. My shoulders, which have been carrying tension like a yoke, start to relax. Something about the act of consciously giving these things to God, saying the words out loud, physically, imagining the transfer from my hands to His, creates space in my heart for something I had almost forgotten was possible. I feel the change in my breathing. Instead of the shallow, anxious breaths that have characterized my day, I find myself taking deeper, slower breaths. My language begins to change too. Instead of saying, "I have to figure this out," I hear myself whispering, "You will show me the way." Instead of, "I must make this work," I say, "You are working all things together for good." Instead of, "I need to control this situation," I declare, "You are in control, and your control is perfect." And then, in that quiet surrender, something beautiful began to happen. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, not the kind of miracle that makes headlines, but the kind of gentle miracle that makes hearts whole. Peace began to flow into the spaces I had just emptied, like cool water, filling a vessel that had been dry for too long. This peace didn't announce itself with fanfare. It came like the first breath of cool air on a hot summer evening, like the gentle settling of a child who has finally found their way into their parents' arms, like the moment when a song you love comes on the radio, just when you needed to hear it most. It was quiet, but it was unmistakable. I felt something shift in my mind, like someone had taken the tangled thoughts that had been racing in circles all day and gently smoothed them into ordered rows. The chaos that had been my constant companion began to settle. Questions that had been tormenting me suddenly seemed to have different possible answers. What if instead of asking, "Why is this taking so long?" I asked, "What if God's timing is perfect and He is preparing something I cannot yet see?" What if instead of wondering, "Why do I have to struggle so much?" I considered, what if this struggle is strengthening me for a purpose I do not yet understand? What if instead of feeling frustrated that I cannot control, outcomes I chose to believe. What if letting go of control is not giving up, but growing up? Let me share a picture that came to my mind in this moment of surrender. I thought about a mother placing her sick child in bed for the night. She has given the medicine, she has offered all the comfort she can provide, and now she tucks the covers around her little one and trusts that sleep and rest will do their healing work through the night. She doesn't stay awake trying to will her child's body to heal faster. She trusts the mysterious process of restoration that happens when we stop fighting and start resting. That's what God invites us to do with our lives, with our problems, with our fears. To place them in His care, like that mother placing her child in bed, and then to trust that He will work through the night hours in ways we cannot see or understand. While we rest, He works. While we sleep, He heals. While we surrender, He orchestrates. My thoughts became clearer in this peace. The fog of anxiety that had been clouding my judgment all day began to lift, and I could think more clearly about my situation. Not from a place of panic, but from a place of perspective. I remembered that God has been faithful before, and His character has not changed. I recalled times when what looked like delay turned out to be divine preparation for something better than I had originally wanted. I felt held, not by human hands which are loving, but limited, but by something infinitely stronger and more reliable. Like a house built on bedrock that remains steady, even when storms rage around it. I felt grounded in something that would not shift or fail. And in that feeling of being held, I began to sense the gentle stirrings of hope. Not the kind of hope that demands immediate results, but the deeper hope that trusts in ultimate goodness, ultimate justice, ultimate love. The kind of hope that says, I don't know how this story ends, but I know who is writing it, and I trust Him with the plot. El Shaddai, God Almighty, was reminding me that His power is not limited by my understanding. His love is not diminished by my doubt, and His plans for me are not derailed by temporary setbacks. In this peace, I remembered that miracles are not always dramatic external changes. Sometimes, the greatest miracle is the internal transformation from anxiety to trust, from despair to hope, from feeling abandoned to knowing you are held. In this peace, gratitude began to bloom in my heart, like flowers opening to morning sunlight. It's amazing how surrender creates space not just for peace, but for appreciation of what has been there all along, hidden behind the curtain of our worries and complaints. I began to see what I had been too busy, too stressed, too focused on problems to notice during the day. The small miracles that had been sprinkled throughout my 24 hours, like breadcrumbs on a trail, evidence of God's presence and care that I had walked right past without stopping to acknowledge. There was that phone call this morning from an old friend, perfectly timed, just when I needed to hear a familiar voice. At the time, I had been rushing to get out the door, and I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up, and for 5 minutes, I got to laugh with someone who knows my history, who remembers the person I was before I became so weighted down with adult responsibilities. That wasn't accident. That was providence. Then there was my child's face when I walked through the door this evening. Yes, they needed help with homework, and yes, there were a dozen other things demanding my attention. But did I pause to really see the joy that lit up their eyes when they saw me? In their uncomplicated love, God was reminding me that I am valued not for what I accomplish, but simply for who I am. The simple meal we shared around our table tonight. Nothing fancy. Probably something quick because everyone was tired. But we were together. We had food to eat, a roof over our heads, chairs to sit in, and each other's company. While I was worrying about the bills on the counter, I missed the abundance that was right in front of me. Even the rain that fell this afternoon, which I grumbled about because it made traffic worse and meant I got soaked running from my car to the building. But tonight, I can hear the sound of that rain on the roof, and it sounds like a lullaby. That same rain is watering the flowers in my neighbor's garden, filling the reservoirs that supply our water, washing the dust from the air we breathe. What felt like inconvenience was actually blessing. I thought about the coworker who asked how I was doing and actually waited for an answer. The stranger who held the door for me at the coffee shop. The text message from my sister checking in, just because. The sunset I glimpsed through my office window for 30 seconds before the next meeting started. All these moments when God was showing up in ordinary ways, and I was too busy cataloging problems to notice gifts. The problems were still there, but they looked different now. Like looking at a mountain range from different vantage points. Up close, every rock and crevice looks overwhelming, but from a distance, you can see the whole majestic landscape and understand how each peak fits into the greater design. From this place of gratitude and perspective, I found myself able to say something I couldn't say an hour ago. Thank you for carrying me through today, even when I didn't feel carried. Thank you for providing for my needs, even when I was focused on my wants. Thank you for being present in every moment, even when I was too distracted to notice your presence. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. I cannot predict what challenges will come with the sunrise, but I can trust that the same God who walked with me through today will be there to guide me through whatever comes next. This is not naive optimism. This is battle-tested faith, the kind that has been proven reliable through years of both sunshine and storms. My mind was becoming quiet now, prepared for the kind of rest that actually restores, rather than just passing time. Ready for sleep that heals, rather than simply avoiding consciousness. The kind of divine rest that Jesus promised when he said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Tonight I choose peace. I place everything into your hands, Lord. This is not passive resignation, but active trust, not giving up, but giving over. Not defeat, but surrender to something greater than my ability to control outcomes. As I prepare to close my eyes and enter the sacred space of sleep, I want to remind you of something beautiful. While I sleep, you are awake. While my conscious mind rests, your love never slumbers. While I let go of the day's concerns, you hold them all with perfect wisdom and infinite care. Think about this with me. Right now, as night settles over your part of the world, somewhere else, the sun is rising, and God is beginning a new day with other children who need his care. He is simultaneously holding the fears of someone going to sleep and the hopes of someone just waking up. He is managing the rotation of planets and the healing of broken hearts. He is orchestrating weather patterns and answering prayers. His attention never wavers. His love never diminishes. His power never fails. While you rest tonight, he is working. Not just in the grand cosmic sense, but in the specific details of your life. He is arranging circumstances for tomorrow that you cannot yet see. He is preparing hearts for conversations you do not yet know you will have. He is moving in ways that will only make sense when you look back and see the pattern he was weaving while you slept. I picture a child falling asleep in the back seat during a long car ride, completely trusting that their parent will navigate the roads, handle the traffic, make the necessary stops, and wake them when it's time to get out. The child doesn't need to stay awake to help drive. Their job is simply to rest and trust that someone more capable is taking care of the journey. That's what God invites you to do tonight. To be his beloved child in the back seat of life, trusting that he will navigate tomorrow's roads while you rest. You don't need to stay awake worrying about the route or the traffic or whether there will be enough gas for the trip. Your job is to rest in the knowledge that the driver is completely trustworthy. I think about seeds sleeping in the winter soil, gathering strength for spring growth they cannot yet imagine. They don't worry about whether they will bloom. They rest in the darkness, trusting the process that turns death into life endings, into beginnings, winter into spring. Nothing is lost in God's hands even while you sleep. That relationship that needs healing, it's safe in His care tonight. That financial situation that seems impossible, He is already working on solutions you haven't thought of. That health concern that keeps you up at night, His healing power doesn't take breaks for human rest. That child you're worried about, they are never outside the circle of His protection. Before you close your eyes, I want to invite you to do something with me. In the comments below, would you share a prayer request or a word of gratitude? Sometimes putting our hearts into words helps us release them more fully into God's care. If this prayer has brought you peace tonight, would you share it with someone else who might need this reminder that they are not alone? Hit that like button if you felt God's presence in these words, and subscribe so we can walk through more nights like this together. Thank you for allowing me to join you in this sacred space tonight. Thank you for your honesty about your struggles and your willingness to surrender them into God's hands. You are loved beyond your ability to understand. You are held more securely than you can imagine. You are not alone. Not tonight. Not ever. Rest well, my friend. You are loved, you are held, and you are not alone. Amen.